Okay, and welcome back to our third episode, Metamorphosis in Alien Earth, as we are in episode 3, still wondering what's going on from the questions here. Why did the alien take Joe? What is Weyland-Yutani's plan with all these aliens and these creatures that they have? And hopefully maybe we can get some type of answers or anything in this episode, but let's dive right into this episode and find out. So we pick up where we left off in the last episode of Joe being taken by the alien. We don't know why the alien decided to take him, but the alien doesn't do anything to him. It doesn't kill him or anything like that. It just covers him in this web-like thing. I don't even know what it is, nor did I know aliens could do that. Also, how did it do it if it didn't spray any of its acid on it? And it's almost like the alien is toying with Joe and Wendy. I'm not really sure what it's doing here. It sees Wendy in the truck of this freezer truck with Joe, releasing him, and instead of doing what it usually does and just diving right into it and tearing apart the people, it doesn't do anything. It almost like it senses Wendy and it just kind of backs up slowly. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take my business elsewhere type feel. And then it gets on top of the truck and Wendy stabs it and finds out that the blood is acid, and wondering like why it's doing that. Joe tells her it's because the blood is acid. We need to be careful with that. And then all of a sudden, the alien just kind of spins this trailer around, and Wendy gets thrown out of it. I don't even know how the heck that shit happened. She gets thrown right out of this truck, and now Joe's left alone in here. And Joe obviously saw the alien run right by, and he's trying to not get killed by it and trying to find his sister, who he doesn't call Wendy. He calls her Mercy by her real name. As Joe is slowly walking out of this trailer, the alien ends up stabbing him in, I don't know if it was like the chest or in his lung. I'm not really sure where it was that it stabbed him. And Joe's pretty much defenseless at this point now, as the alien slowly starts crawling towards him and ends up flipping him over and getting him right face to face. Now, I don't know if this is just plot armor or what it is, but the alien is taking its sweet-ass time to attack Joe here. And its little mouth is coming out, ready to attack. Now, with the soldier guy before, it immediately just attacked its face and just tore that dude apart. But with Joe here, it's not really doing anything with him at all. And I'm not really sure why, but because of how long it's taking to attack Joe, Wendy's able to use this hook that Joe was carrying as he was walking out and able to grab onto the alien's mouth and pretty much drag it, because this thing is now defenseless, because that is one of its main points here. And as she's dragging it through, she tells Joe, go and press the door and we'll throw it in there and be done with this thing. And Joe's slow to get up because obviously he was just stabbed here, and he's trying to collect his thoughts as he's bleeding out possibly. And as he's running over there, Wendy is slowly dragging him over, and they're just trying to get the alien out of this area. They're trying to make sure that he can't do any more harm to them or anyone else, hopefully. And Joe's finally able to get the door to close, and Wendy throws it in there, but she's able to rip the thing off, rip its little mouth off. But as she does that, the alien grabs Wendy and brings her in there. Now Joe's struggling to get this open, to get his sister out of there. And he's finally able to get it open, but just barely. And we hear a bunch of commotion. We don't know if Wendy's okay, if she's able to beat this thing at all, if the alien's winning. So Joe's opening this door not knowing what the heck is going on. So he opens it up, sees that the alien is just cut in half. And obviously he's, thinking, okay, well, maybe my sister's good. As he's looking at her, he sees the white little milk that's coming out of this, that comes out of the synthetics. And he knows, okay, well, this can't be good. There has, I got to get to my sister and make sure she's okay. And sadly, she's not okay. She took a hell of a lot of damage there, destroying this fucking alien. And she's paying the price, and Joe's overcoming with his injuries and ends up passing out right next to her. So both of them are pretty much done for this episode, essentially. They are knocked out, and who knows what's going to happen to them later. As the rescue team comes and gets the rest of them, we meet up with Slightly, who was with Wendy earlier with all the eggs. And he's just sitting there, just chilling, waiting here. And you think something's going to happen. And you think it might be another alien that comes and attacks. But it's actually his friend Smee who ends up coming by him and checking on him, saying, hey, they need you now. And they want to bring... Kirsch wants you to come over here. We found something. And Slightly's telling him, like, hey, I found something here too. You know, Wendy told me to wait here for these eggs as she went and jumped for her brother. And, you know, they're explaining how, like, this alien came out of nowhere and grabbed them. And as they're having this conversation and really, you know, saying how scary and freaky it is to be on the ship, and also how cool it is to be on the ship, because you remember, they're still kids. And these two play it up so well. Their relationship is so well done, I feel. I feel like out of all the Lost Boys, these two are my favorite of the group. As they're reconnecting and talking about the ship, Murrow comes out of nowhere and tells them, like, hey, put your weapons down and all that. And as he is slowly talking to these two, he realizes that they are just kids. They are synthetics with the mind of a child. And as he's having this conversation with them, he's pretty much uploading all of the files that Weyland-Yutani had on the ship, and making sure no one else can get these files. So he's doing whatever he can as he's uploading. They're like, are you a synthetic? Are you a cyborg? What are you? And he's telling them essentially, like, as much as I don't want to be, you know, I wish I was something more. I wish I was like you guys. I have all the worst parts of a human, and I don't want that anymore. I kind of want to be a synthetic. It sounds like, and he's telling them how, you know, what is, like, you guys don't have parents. What are you talking about? What does it mean to be a machine, essentially? And as he's doing all this, he's still downloading all these files. And he is just, I don't know what is up with him when he does something. But every time we see him in a scene, this dude is just dripping with sweat all the time. As these files are coming, uploading into his mind, he is just losing all of this sweat all the damn time. It is just ridiculous how much sweat this dude ends up losing in every freaking episode or any scene we see in him. You know, it's just wild to me. And as he's talking to them and ends up choking out Slightly and talking to him and whispering, you know, what does it mean to be a machine? And the kids have no idea what he means by that. And as he's choking them out, Kirsch comes in and is telling him, like, hey, I know everything about you. I read all the files. Head of security here, which I was wrong. I thought he was the captain. So that is all on me. Take that L for sure. Telling him how they read all the files. He knows everything that's going on in the ship. And Murrow was telling him, like, these creatures, these specimens, they all belong to Weyland-Yutani. And I need to bring them to them because they are property of hers. And Kirsch is just telling him, no, you guys crashed in our... It's like if a kid hits a ball into the neighbor's yard, that ball is now mine, and I'm taking over this, and I'm taking all these specimens. And while Murrow was choking out Slightly, he ends up having, like, after he uploaded all of the files onto this, like, disc sticker thing, he ends up putting it on Slightly, and it ends up, like, absorbing into his neck. So obviously that will play into future episodes, or even further on, like, foreshadowing something. I don't know what at this point. And Kirsch ends up discovering that the xenomorphs, the eggs that are there, they don't react to the synthetics because Wendy and Slightly were there that whole time and they weren't reacting at all. But also when Joe was there, you could tell something was going on. And as Murrow was talking to him and backing up, he also notices that the eggs are opening up, or like about to open up and everything like that. And Kirsch notices this, and so does Murrow. And instead of being taken by them, he ends up just jumping off that cliff where the alien took Joe, and instead of being caught by the aliens or even by Kirsch here, he's just gonna jump off. But that was just before he did all that, he asks Kirsch, like, who is Prodigy? What is all of this? Kirsch tells him it's another company because Murrow has been in space for a long ass time, so a lot has changed. But the rescue crew essentially gathers all their information, gathers all the specimen, and we are finally now moving off the ship. We are going to Prodigy's, I don't know if you want to say headquarters or their base, whatever you want to call it. We head into there now, and we see them trying to fix Wendy. They're doing surgery on Joe, almost like, I'm not sure what, but they're like removing his lungs. So I don't know if they're going to put make him into a cyborg or something like that, or if this is how they kill Joe. I'm not sure, but I believe it said he was in all 8 episodes, so I'm not really sure what they're doing with them on there. Kirsch tells Boy Cavalier as he's in there looking at all the specimen and everything like that, and noticing that the egg is opening up, and Kirsch throws him out, and he's telling them, hey, you can't be in here because that egg responds to humans like you, and it's going to jump out and basically essentially kill you, so stay the hell out. I'm locking this down. Boy Cavalier tells Kirsch, hey, you're in charge. Do everything that you need to do to figure out what all these creatures are and what's going on with them. And as all of this is going on, we get Nibs is questioning what's all going on. Why they're called the Lost Boys when half of them are girls. Why did Wendy get to be called Wendy? Curly's kind of telling her, hey, Nibs is not a bad name at all. And Nibs is just not sure. She's just questioning everything. She's not sure why she's there, why she can't go back to her old home, questioning her existence, essentially, and just not sure overall about everything. And Curly, while that's all going on, Curly is trying to figure out why Boy Cavalier chose Wendy to be his favorite, questioning him on why is Wendy your favorite, what is she doing that makes her so much more special than the rest of us. I don't feel like she's telling him Wendy isn't really focused on the mission. She's more worried about her stupid brother, and she doesn't care. But me, on the other hand, I do. You gave me this brain with all this knowledge. I'm learning everything. I learned French, and I feel like I could do what you're doing and do it better. And as much as it sounds like a threat that she's basically ready to say, hey, I'm going to take over your whole company, and I'm going to make it mine. Instead of him taking it in a bad way, he actually takes it in a better, positive way, because he wants someone to be on his level of intellect and have someone to talk to. And with her saying all this, it almost felt like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted, and I want someone to do this. And she asks him, hey, does that mean I'm going to be your new favorite? And he said, well, you're not my favorite right now, but you are definitely in the race for it. So she's trying to take Wendy's spot as being the favorite here, and Smee and Slightly are talking to this. I don't remember who this guy is. I think he's like the assistant to Boy Cavalier. I don't really remember him really all that much. And he's asking the kids what happened, what did he say to you, what was he doing? And Slightly tells him, he asked me, what does it mean to be a machine? Like, I don't know what that means or what he wanted. And they're worried that they're in trouble. But he's like, well, if you didn't do anything, you're not really in trouble. And Smee asks him, he's like, is that guy coming back? Like, are you guys going to get him? And the dude's like, why? What are you worried about? And Smee tells him, well, I'm worried that he's going to come back here and kill us in our sleep. Like, is there anything we need to worry about here? And you can really see the relationship and the friendship between Smee and Slightly. Like, after the guy leaves, Smee walks over there and gives Slightly, like, a hug and kind of tells him, like, yeah, that situation sucked, but, like, I'm here for you, buddy. I got you. And Kirsch is sitting there watching all of this, almost making it seem like he is their parents, taking this father-like, daddy-like role, and these are his kids, and he wants them all safe and wants to keep them, wants to keep an eye on them, and we get to the lab of them working on the aliens, and Wendy eventually wakes up because I don't know if she just woke up on her own because it's all done, her redoing all of her memories and fixing her head, or if it has something to do with the alien connection that she has that we have literally no idea what's going on with that. But she starts walking towards the lab as they're working on this face hugger. They open it out of the egg to experiment on it, and as all of that's going on, we see the doctors are doing surgery on Joe, and they end up removing his lung. So I don't know what their plan is with Joe at all here. They put the lung in a tube, and as they're dissecting this facehugger, we see this little tadpole of an alien, which I guess that's what they inject into our bodies to make a bigger alien. And they put this alien in this tube with Joe's lung and to watch it swim into it and go right into the lung. So I guess they're studying how it becomes an alien and how it grows into something so much worse and so much more damaging. But now is Joe dead? What's going on with Joe here? The connection with Wendy is getting stronger. She can feel everything that the alien is feeling, that the facehugger is feeling. So we're not really sure what the connection is between those two, why she has such a deep connection with these aliens. And after, after they take out the tadpole, Wendy kind of passes out as it goes into Joe's lung. So whether she passed out because it went in Joe's lung, or now that it's doing its own thing and it was just too much, we're not really sure what's going on with all of that. So we're left on another cliffhanger and more questions, essentially, here. So, a lot went on in this episode. Not bad. Some good in this episode. I really did enjoy this episode overall. Pro-wise, the atmosphere and the tension in, in every scene. This episode maintained an intense atmosphere throughout, even in quieter dialogue-driven scenes with Murrow and Smee and Slightly. You could still feel the intensity, and the atmosphere was just crazy how this was all going. The tension was palpable, keeping the energy high and the stakes clear. You knew what people wanted. Curly and, what was going on there. The tension felt where she doesn't like Wendy at all, and Curly wants to be the lead and be the favorite. And the atmosphere there of feeling that, and Nibs questioning why she's here. Everything in this episode, you could feel everything that's going on, and I just enjoyed that so much, and it really sucked me into this episode very much, and I really liked that. The next one, the Lost Boys development. Now, other than Toodles, who hasn't really gotten much to do in the last 2 episodes, it feels like, it almost kind of feels like they push him to the side and he's just there. In the last episode, he was just watching that flower, doing really nothing. This episode, he feels more like an assistant to Kirsch. And yeah, he's kind of a side throwaway character, but everyone else feels like they're getting beats and getting more progression in their character, which is kind of nice. Because Curly is working to take Wendy's place as Boy Cavalier's favorite, doubting Wendy's role, if she could take care, if she really should be the favorite, even throwing an analogy saying that when my dad was making pancakes, he never kept the first one and always threw the first one out. And Boy Cavalier was telling her that how Wendy's the first and that's why it's her favorite. And Curly's just telling Boy Cavalier everything that makes her so much better than Wendy and why she should be his favorite and why she should be more liked than Wendy and how she is so much better than Wendy. And I kind of like how she's doing that and trying to be the favorite of... It's almost like a kid being the favorite of a parent, doing everything good and trying to go above and beyond so that parent will like them more. And that's what it feels like Curly's doing it. And I respect it. I like what they're doing with her. I liked how Nibs began questioning not only why they're called the Lost Boys, but also Wendy's very existence and what their role is in all of this. And was it worth going into this new body to get rid of their old selves, and how the Lost Boys were kids, but yet they were put in teenage adult bodies here, and it doesn't make sense to her. She's just questioning everything, and I like what they're doing with her as well. It's very interesting what they are doing. And Smee and Slightly dealing with the fallout of Murrow's manipulations, and I don't want to say threatening them, but the conversation that they had, showing the strength of their bond, while Smee was coming and looking for Slightly, telling them how scary the ship is and how glad they are to find each other, and wrestling around and acting like childhood friends, and just being there for each other this whole time. I really enjoyed their relationship. It was really nice to see, and Slightly being exploited in Murrow's larger plans, because now Murrow is trying to get these creatures back, because he lost 65 years of his life. That's how long he's been gone on this ship, and how everyone he loved is basically dead. No one's even alive. He doesn't have a family, he doesn't have a home, and telling Weyland-Yutani how he's going to get these creatures back, and is now talking to Slightly. I don't know if it's because of the chip that he put in his neck or what it was that now he could talk to him, but telling him, hey, you told me on the ship that everyone deserves to have a friend, and I'm hoping that you can be my friend. So I'm liking what they're doing with these characters. Other than Toodles, which I feel like they need to give something to him, I'm liking how all the Lost Boys are becoming their own thing, their own characters, having their own things going on. They're not all focused on the same thing. They all have different directions that they're all going and dealing with different problems, and I'm really liking that. And then the other one, the fresh setting. Moving the story off the ship, which was a nice welcome shift. The ship had started to feel a little, okay, we're doing the same routine here. We've already done 2 episodes now. Let's move on and get off the ship. And the change of scenery opened up the door for new mysteries and, more questions, obviously. It also suggests that we're moving closer to uncovering some of those questions that we've had from the last 2 episodes. Now I feel like with us moving into a new setting, some of those questions that we had can kind of be answered. We can kind of guess at some of those questions, but also we're getting newer questions now. That it's nice to have new questions, but if we're not really getting any hints to them, you know how I feel about that. And that's what leads into my con, which I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we're still lingering on the mysteries without any answers. We're not getting any significant hint of what the hell is actually going on. While mysteries are intriguing and they build on the story, it can also frustrate because we still don't know why the creatures are so important. We could take a guess and say that they want to study them for research and make them into weapons or treat certain things. That's fine. I like that we're having at least ideas of guessing what the possibilities are, but we don't know why these creatures are so important, and how all this money and people's lives matter that much to these creatures that we need to have, and why now Boy Cavalier, I feel like he only wants these creatures because Weyland-Yutani wants them, so he figures they have to be worth something. But how Wendy is truly connected to the Xenomorph, why she has such a connection to these guys, and why she can feel them, hear them, sense them. We're not getting any explanation to that. Even the Xenomorph's early toying with Joe, it just, the behavior remains unexplained. It just seems like they're picking and choosing when they're attacking, and it feels like with Joe, they're not attacking him right away, but like with everybody else, they're attacking him right away. So I don't know if it's because Joe is so calm and he's not freaking out like everybody else when they see an alien. I don't get what's going on, and I know the broken record here of wondering what the questions are, but I just want to know something. We're not getting anything in, and we're 3 episodes in, and we're not figuring out what the heck is going on. We can hint at some of the questions, but now we're getting newer questions where it's like, I don't know what the connection is with the Xenomorph and Wendy. Is there something in there when they did the synthetic on builds them to them? Or how is she connected with them in some way? It just seems really weird that we don't know why they are connected and why is she connected and why Joe is even connected to them, it feels like. Because they should have attacked him right away and Joe should have been dead a long ass time ago. He shouldn't even be alive now. But here we are. And so it's just strange that we're not getting some of those answers. But overall, this episode was the strongest I felt so far. The Lost Boys were really given depth here. All the characters felt like they stood out. The atmospheric tension felt really nice and it never let up. You felt every scene and every scene brought you into it even more. And changing from the ship to Prodigy's area was a nice change in things. While some questions still feel unanswered and we're not getting hints to anything, it feels like overall we're getting somewhere, but at the same time also running into a wall. And my final grade, I will have to give this episode a B+. I definitely enjoyed this episode the most of the 3 episodes we've gotten. I've liked what we've seen. Definitely the Lost Boys were my highlight of this episode for me. I'm really liking what they're doing there, and I can't wait to see what they do in future episodes, so I'm really excited to see with that. But I also want to know the connection between Wendy and the Xenomorph. That's really driving me up a wall, because I don't know what makes her so special, and why they both are connected. Is it a family thing? What is the connection between these? So I'm hoping we get some questions answered in the next episode, or even get some hints of what it could possibly get, to where we can guess what it could possibly be. But like always, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Have you seen this episode? What did you think of this episode? Do you like the Lost Boys getting all these story arcs here? Are you wondering the same thing with Wendy and the Xenomorph connection? Do you want to know what the hell is going on between all of that? Let me know in the comments. Feedback's always appreciated. Love to hear suggestions. Also want to hear what you guys are watching and what you guys are checking out and all that. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to. You know, what movies have you guys seen? What shows are you guys watching? What games are you even playing? Let me know. Love to hear what you guys' thoughts on that stuff. But yeah, until we meet into the next episode, I will see you guys later.